Hello, 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 and welcome to the 50th video we have get going in this series. We are finally at 50. The featured movie of the week is none other than Turbo. The song that you heard is quite a classic. It is called Jump Around. I love that song. So, Jump Around. Featured movie Turbo. Turbo is a great movie. It's about this snail that's literally extremely fast. So yeah, watch that movie. It's by DreamWorks. Great movie producing organization. I love all their movies. How to Train Your Dragon, etc. So let's get right into it. Ordering decimals. So we know how to compare numbers. If I said a 5 and a 4, and I said use these symbols to compare them, you would say, well, 5 is greater than 4. I know that for a fact. But we are going to learn in this video, if I give you a 5.5 and a, let's say 4.6, what do we put there? Is this one greater? Is that one greater? I don't know. So that's the essence of this video. And it's just like the rounding video, the 49th video, rounding decimals. That is a pretty simple video. And rounding decimals, as I said in that video, it's not too hard of a concept. And this one is not hard a concept either. If comparing numbers in general is tough for you, please review place value and greater than, less than, or equal to, because I will be using these symbols like there is no tomorrow, and I expect you to know these symbols by heart. I expect you to know that this is greater than, less than, and equals to. That is just the expectation. If you do not know that, please, I have videos on place value. I have videos on greater than, less than, or equal to. So please watch them, because I'll be saying ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands place, 1, 10, 100, 1,000. So you will need to know what those place values are. So you will need to know that this number is in the hundreds, this is in the tens, this is in the ones. Like if you do not know that, please review our previous videos. But with that being said, we're going to compare two numbers, 5.4 and 4.6. Now it is it's so simple. When I said rounding is easy, scratch that. If you know how to compare numbers in general, you will easily know how to compare decimals. So basically, if I took a 106 and I had a 178, how do I know which one is greater? Because you know that. You know this is greater than 106. You know this is a bigger number. Why? Well, you used a method that we're going to use. You looked from left to right on each of the numbers. You said, okay, the ones are equal, so it can't be the ones. This has a 0 and this has a 7. Oh, 7's bigger. This is a bigger number. What I would say to all my passionate students is to get rid of the decimal place. So bye-bye and bye-bye. So we have a 54 and a 46. So which one's greater? 54 is bigger than 46. It is that simple. But if I gave you this, What are you going to say? Exactly. This one's bigger because... Oh my god, I'm so sorry. My apologies. I already put the answer there, so scratch this. Oh my god. My apologies. You guys are laughing at me behind the screen. Oh my god, I'm a clown. My apologies, everybody. So let's do the same again. But we have a different amount of numbers. Because some of you are like, well, both of these have 2 numbers, so it works. Well, this one is 3, this one is 2, so they're different. Scratch the decimal places, and obviously 545 is bigger than 46. But I would really not recommend doing that method. This is just a method to segue yourself into this topic, because you'll get this, and then what? No, this. Why do I keep writing that? My dearest apologies. And this, and you'll be like, oh, get rid of the decimals. This is greater, and that is the wrong answer. This is actually greater. So that kind of method that I just displayed for you guys, it works some of the time. As you just see previously, it did work. But ultimately, please do not rely on that method, because it is not a reliable method, because it works, but it might not work. But the method I'm going to teach you now will 1,000,000,000% work. So let's take these 2 numbers, 34.1 and 8.46. The trick is to read these numbers from left to right. We read books, we write, we read from left to right. So the same thing we will be doing when we compare numbers. I taught you guys this already in greater than, less than, or equal to. We have to look from left to right. So we have a 3 and we have an 8. But some of you are like, hey, Nadav, there's a 3 and an 8. 8's greater than 3. We're done. That's greater than. There we go. But I want to be like, no. Because what place value is the 8 in? And what place value is the 3 in? Exactly. The 3 is in the tens place, and this is in the ones place. Because of that, this is greater. Because what's actually in the tens place over here? It's a 0. And now we're just comparing a 3 to a 0. So it's that simple. If I gave you this number, and I gave you that number, and I'm like, which one's greater? Well, let's look from left to right. We start off with the first number on each. They are both in the ones place, so that's a good place to start. But they're both the same. So what do? Just move on to the next number. They are both in the tens place. Obviously, since the first ones match, these ones will now match. And 6 is greater than 4. It is that simple. Now we're just going to be doing something a bit more complex. So, left to right. These are both in the hundredths place. They're both 1, so we don't care. Move on. Both in tens place, but they're 2. Same thing with the ones. They're both equal. So now we have to rely on the tenths place. Are these the same? No, they're different. Which one's greater? 4 is greater than 3. And comparing decimals is that easy. That easy. Now, some of you are like, well, there's an 8 here and there's nothing here. Well, it doesn't matter. We read from left to right. We don't read from right to left. It doesn't matter that there's nothing here and there's something there. It doesn't matter. So please, teachers and worksheets will try to trick you like that. Do not let them trick you. But if I gave you, and I gave you this, and I said, which one is greater? Which one's less than? Which one's equal to? Now, the trick in this question is that we look left to right. But this is in the tens place and this is in the ones place. So regardless, Since this one starts in a higher place value, this is greater than, because tens are greater than ones. Same thing with this example. These both have zeros, so we move to the next. This has 0, this has 8. So this is greater. If you want to start looking at numbers instead of zeros, well, you could just be like, okay, we have a 7 and an 8. But, actually, yeah, because this might actually confuse you. So let's say it was a 4. It's still greater than. You all know why. Exactly. This is in the tenths place. Excuse my handwriting. And this is in the hundredths place. Tenths is greater than hundredths. Now I'm saying tenths and hundredths. Hundred is greater than 10. But tenths is greater than hundredths. You should know that. If you do not know that, obviously you need to brush up on your place values. We do have videos on that. So since tenths and is greater than hundredths, this number is greater than the other. So this number is less than this number. And we just looked at the first digit or non-zero number in that, entire number. So I'm going to actually make it a bit more complex. And I'm going to ask you to order these numbers. No. I want to do this one. This one, I want to look like this. And this one, I want to look like this. What I mean is that this one should go from big to small, but this one should go from small to big. So with that being said, obviously you know how to do this comparison with multiple numbers. I taught you this in greater than, less than, or equal to. Obviously, if you do not know this, brush it up. So this is the expectation part that you already know how to do this. Since we already know how to compare decimals, we should be able to do this. So I'm going to pause myself for 5 seconds. Pause the video to your liking, and then we will just discuss the answers, and then we will say goodbye. Okay, let's look at the first one. Let's look at the first number since we were reading left to right. They are all in the ones place. All right, so that doesn't help. But this is an 8 and these are 6s. So this must be the greatest number, the biggest. So we're done with this. Now it's just down to these two. Move to the next number. This has an 8 and this has a 7. Since this has an 8, this one is bigger than the other. That's simple. Let's move to here. Stars. So let's look at the first number to the left. These are all in the ones place except for this one. This one is in the tenths place. So this one is the biggest number. We're done with that. We move on to the next number. All in the tenths place. And this one is a 7, so it is the next biggest number. We are done now with that. Now we just compare these two. Well, 4 and 1. So it is that simple. 3.11 is the smallest. And we are now done. Woohoo! It's like a nice check mark. Woohoo! But at this number, Just because there's no numbers after it, dot, 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 there's nothing here after after the 7 and 3.7, doesn't mean it's the least number. We don't read from right to left. We compare numbers from left to right. Just be aware of that. So that's the essence of this video. Obviously, try the worksheets. They will help you get familiar with this concept, help you master it. Obviously, if you have any more questions, please feel free to contact me. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little video here. Stay safe, stay cool, and stay learning. Bye-bye.